Hello, everyone. My name is Natalia, and I'm an English teacher, and I try to introduce you my topic, education in Great Britain and Ukraine. As most people know, the quote from Malcolm, which basically means that you need to be prepared for life, for real life, as an education prepares you for many things that you will need to do in your real world. You ought to study and work hard if you want to be successful. Let's have a look onto this quotation. Education is a password to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare it for today. And today, let me get acquainted, my dear students, with education in Great Britain and Ukraine. Let's have a look onto the structure. I believe that this structure would be very useful for you. Let's start. There are three main types of schools in Great Britain: comprehensive, selective, and private. If you study at comprehensive school, you are lucky, because you don't need to pass any exams until you are 16. If you attend school in the selective system of education, you have to take an examination which they usually call 11+. And also, this exam shows how good students' knowledge is. Let's have a look. What is going on if you pass it successful? If you pass this test, which we usually said before, 11+, successfully, you can go to grammar school, where you get more profound knowledge. But don't be upset if you fail this exam, because in such a way you can go to the secondary modern school, where you get more technical knowledge and are trained for your future job. Nowadays, a lot more of children in Britain and also their parents think about the private system of education. And they start their education at the age of 3 at their preparatory school. Let's have a look there. It's a type of nursery education where you can go and at the preparatory school and show how good you are. After that, when they will be only, can you imagine this, only 5 years old, can you imagine this? They have to take an examination. If they pass this exam successfully, they go to public schools and continue their education there. You know, there is one very interesting fact about public schools in Britain. And I also need to say that these schools are very expensive, which is different in America. So, not everybody in Britain can afford it. Let's have a look. Let's try to introduce you some statistic which I made for to make my minds more my presentation more understandable for you. Look at this statistic. We are going now to analyze and compare the system of education in Great Britain and in Ukraine. Let's have a look onto these two points. both of British and Ukrainian students go to private schools. Let's have a look there. Both of English and British students go to private school. The main difference between these British and Ukrainian system of education is that more than 30% of British students go to the selective schools, which they get, let me remind you, more profound knowledge in a specific subject. Nearly all of students in Ukraine, let's have a look onto the second point, where you can see 90% of the Ukrainian students are seen, which is go to comprehensive school, which is different in Great Britain. Both systems of education are seen to be trained, let's have a look onto this, for their future jobs and professions. I also need to say some words about when do the students usually finish school, at what age. And as you see, the students of Ukraine finish schools at the age of 17, approximately at the age of 17, whereas the British ones who finished schools at the age of 16 or 18. More than 12% of Ukrainian students finish school at the age of 16. That is much more less than in Great Britain. That is one of an interesting fact due to this statistic. 33% of British students finish school at the age of 18. That is nearly as much as in Ukraine. Next one, you will hear some more comparative forms, which are usually when I introduce the topic. The first one, I need to show you how you can modify adjectives and adverbs. And I can also show you some briefly mistakes which students usually do while they are doing their writing or speaking. I can divide these phrases into two groups. How you can express a big difference and how you can express a small one. If you want to show a big difference, you usually can use far, a lot, much plus comparative form of the adjective. Let's have a look onto my example. Education is far better than the other spheres of our life. You try never use very better. It's a bit wrong. Students are a lot cleverer in these countries. Don't use very cleverer. Ukrainian system of education is much more popular when you want to pay somebody's attention to this. Not say very more popular. If you want to express a big difference, you also can use some structures with the superlative form, which are, he is by far the best student at school. This exam is easily the most popular among the students at school. And when you want to compare some negative points and use the negative structure, you usually use not nearly as adjective as structure, which show that this book is not as popular as last year's. There's something going on wrong. If you need to show a small difference and to express it to the speaker, or in your writing form, you can use the structures which are useful too. Slightly, a bit, or little plus comparative adjective, which show you that something a bit differ from the previous time. Just about and superlative form also express this small difference, but you want to pay your attention to the longest, to the most interesting, you want just to talk about the most appropriate point which is differ from the previous time. And the last expression which I need to show you, or I want to introduce you, that is nearly, not quite as, plus adjective as. Imagine the situation which is going on this year. The first term or semester was nearly as good as the second one because you are staying at home and something different is going on in this year. The second term isn't quite as long as it was last time. All these expressions of a big or small difference will help you to make your speech or writing form more colorful and express. I also during my speech, I also use some expression which show the similarities and the differences between each other, between something. Similarities. Both and if you are talking about two objects or people. All of them, that is usually used for plural ones. When you are going to talk about more than 3 or 4 points. They both seems to be. Neither of them, it is usually used when you want to express some negative features, when you are talking about two objects or people. And none of them, that is, nobody or none of them, when you need to express or show the similarity of more than 3 or 4 objects or things. In this one and this one, it is also usually used, and we will have more practice in our next task. When you want to express some difference while speaking and to show that they are a bit differ from another one, you also need to use some structures which are one thing which is different in this one. The main difference between something is that is. This is one, whereas is another one. Let's try to have some practice all together. I think this exercise and expert strategy will help you to save your time while you have such a type of tasks. Let's come closer to our board and learn some expert strategy. For such a type of task, you need to, at first, you need to read your sentence carefully. After that, you find out some key words which can help you to understand the main idea or maybe realize what structure you should use there. And identify, after that, you need to identify what structure it could be used with. Let's have a look onto the first one. Something, gap of British, Ukrainian students go to private school. Let's go to our strategy. Let's find out some keywords. Of, right? You underline them in your work, it doesn't matter. And let me think about the structure which show what? Similarities or differences? All right, I think that you are guessing what is going on there. Both of British and Ukrainian students go to private school. And I also want to say that in such a way you show what? Yeah, right, the similarity between these two systems of education. Let's have a look onto the second one. Between British, a gap, Ukrainian system of education is that more than 30% of students go to selective schools. Let's have a look. Let's find some highlighted words there. Is it British or Ukrainian? No. That is between. Yes, you are right. In such a way, let's say some points which are going there. The main difference between British and Ukrainian system of education is that more than 30% of students go to selective schools. Let's come to the third one. Nearly all the students in Ukraine go to comprehensive schools. Something in a gap, different in Great Britain. Nearly all of the students in Ukraine go to comprehensive school. Where is the word which can help me or you while you are doing this task? Different. Right, you are. And nearly all of the students in Ukraine go to comprehensive school, which is different in Great Britain. The fourth one, the students of Ukraine finish school at the age of 17. Something in a gap. The British ones who finish schools at the age of 16 or 18. Let's have a look. Only one word. No keywords at all, only the gap. Can we think a bit and discuss what do we want to show in this sentence? Is it some similarity or some difference? You want to show some difference about the age when they finish school. And the students of Ukraine finish school at the age of 17, whereas the British ones who finish school approximately at the age of 16 or 18. And the last one sentence in this task has two gaps. Let's have a look onto them. Systems of education are be train students for future job. Let's have a look carefully because something can be misunderstandable there, but let's try to find our keywords and I will find it. That is the system of education R and B. What it can be? That it can be both system of education and are synced to be trained students for future job. After that, I also need that you usually save your time while you are doing such a task. And due to the statistic, I also want to say that more than 12% of Ukrainian students finish school at the age of 16. That is much more less than in Great Britain. And education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Most people agree with all these points because that means that everyone develops their skills of communicating, develops their skills of critical and analytical thinking, develop their skills how to be in collaborating with others, and you also need to develop your creativity. There is one of the most famous quote which usually express that you should be communicative, you should be creative, you should be open-hearted to everything new in your life. Thank you. You are great students and you are our future generation and we are believing in you.